Hey, hi, I'm Tanmay, and this is the Maintainer Copilot app built for NVIDIA Nemotron 3 Super Meetup Contest under open source Maintainer Copilot track. So, basically, this Maintainer Copilot app helps to reduce the cognitive load on open source maintainer through issue triaging, semantic duplicate detection, and contributor onboarding, all this using NVIDIA's Nemotron 3 model and semantic retrieval. So, what problem we are trying to solve over here? So, a small open source project often struggles with repetitive issue triaging, duplicate bug reports, and onboarding a new contributors. The maintainers of this kind of project spends a considerable amount of time answering similar questions and classifying the issues instead of focusing on the development. So this is what our problem statement, and let's try to see the architecture of this. So this is our basic architecture of this app. We basically ingest the data from GitHub and we pass it into some embedding models over here, and once we get the embeddings of that ingest data, okay, we store into the vector DB and we pass that data further for processing and reasoning. Okay, I'll like fetching the logical reasoning of that data from NVIDIA's Nemotron model, and from there we try to analyze, we try to do the issue triage, duplicate detection, and onboarding assistant, and all this data is then shown to the maintainer dashboard. We'll see in our UI. So basically, the maintainer copilot combines, okay, uh, the semantic retrieval, vector search, and the Nemotron power reasoning to transform the repository knowledge, whatever the repository we are going to fetch from the GitHub, uh, into actionable maintainer workflows. So in this context of this architecture, okay, I would explain the different pieces and the different tech stacks that we used as part of this project, starting with the semantic retrieval. So what happens? So when a new issue arrives, the system doesn't rely on keyword matching. Instead, it converts the issue into an embedding and retrieves semantically similar issues from the history, from the repository history. Now, this helps identify related discussion even when the different words are used to describe the same problem. Vector search, okay, that search that we are performing on our vector DB. Over here we have used ChromaDB. So these embeddings we store into the vector DB, okay. So this also acts as the semantic memory of our project. Now what does vector search allows? It allows the system to quickly find the most relevant issues and the repository knowledge based on the meaning rather than the exact matches, okay. So we'll be seeing like how we basically performing like the triage, the structures triage, okay. So basically whatever the context that we retrieve, okay, from the vector DB, that is passed to this model, our LLM model, NVIDIA's Nemotron model, which generate a structured analysis along with the issue category, severity, probable affected module, some labels, suggested labels, okay, any missing information, and what it does, it helps the maintainers review the issues more efficiently and a consistent basis, okay. this shared knowledge, okay, the knowledge base that we are actually building over here. So the repository issues, documentation, and the contributor knowledge, and those knowledge are actually stored in our retrieval layer over here, okay, and this allow to do the issue triaging workflow and the contributor onboarding assistant to leverage the same repository context, ensuring the consistent and a context aware response. Okay, let's look into the demo over here. Okay, so I am running my application. This is the backend. Okay, it's running in Python, and I'm connected with my the server is running. Okay, and I will try to go to our front end. Okay, this is basically like front end for our app to get a better visualization of this app. So over here in the right corner, you see like it says like it is connected to the backend. And over here in the navigator, in the left navigator, we are actually going to check for this Spring project. Under Spring project, we have the Spring Boot repo. We are going to fetch some issues from this repo, and we'll try to analyze the same pattern, okay, like fetching the issues and like storing into our vector db, like storing the embeddings in our vector db, and further like for issue triaging we are sending our ingested data to LLM model, the Nemotron LLM model. Okay, so over here let's go and check for one more issue. Okay, so I'm trying to do the analysis, and so it found some issue, and the issue uh, says that it's been closed, and it also says what's the severity of this issue, and also like it couldn't find much of the reasoning over here as of now. Okay, so it's related, the suggested label says over here as the documentation. Okay, we'll try to see one more issue. Okay, and it's making the call, and over here it says like this is something has to do with the test container manipulation. Okay, and over here also like what is the status of these issue, what is the severity, and what type of suggestion. So it's an enhancement type. Okay, and there is some response that we got from the our model, LLM model. Okay, looking into the some other options over here, we have this semantic search issue. Okay, we'll be trying to search the issue that's it's already in our repository, or sorry, rather in our database. uh, let's say since we already did for the test container, okay, let's something try to found testing in Spring Boot and see if we can get something related. Okay, so we found some results based on the semantic search results, and this all results like it's already are stored in our ChromaDB, and it's actually written over here. Okay, if you see, and it also gives the issue number, the URL for that issue. If you see, it's a Spring Boot issues. Okay, and it is like some other repo issue, and over here the status is and few lines of that. So basically it's fetching from our DB. Okay, let's say we try to understand like for the onboarding assistant thing. Okay, so if a new contributor is going to onboard, so what's the process? Okay, so let's try to see like how to get started in Spring Boot, because this is the repo we have fetched and stored into our DB. Okay, it's trying to gather the information. Okay, and if we found anything, yeah. So so over here if you see like this is with the confidence high, and this response came from our NVIDIA, okay, our LLM model, the NVIDIA Nemotron model, okay, and it also gives explanation of these. So this is pretty much our project is doing this maintainer Copilot, okay, and over here you see like these are all the call that we made, okay, and it's get logged over here, okay. So so basically this is what mostly like we are trying to achieve over here, okay. And in terms of the tech stack, okay, uh, we are using the framework for the API framework using the FastAPI. Okay, we are using the NVIDIA's Nemotron model, Nemotron 3 over here. ChromaDB we used as a vector model. The embedding, the sentence transformer for the generating of the embeddings of the text, we are using this mini LM L6 V2 model, and for interacting with the GitHub, we are using PyGithub package library. And these are the the endpoints, okay, that we are basically exposing over here, okay. And most of them are the GET request, and there are a couple of POST requests, okay. So we can also test this from our terminals, okay. So I actually made some testing, okay. So over here if you see, let's check this one, okay. We try to analyze an issue, okay. The issue number is 50493, and it gave the JSON response over here, and it gave a summary, and it says like, okay, so this issue is stored into the memory. It also gives us the model, okay, the NVIDIA's Nemotron through Super 120 billion parameter model, okay, that we are using over here. And it says like the issues used, similar issue is 0, okay, and there is no such duplicate candidate, and the similar issues is also as null, okay. So this is a kind of a new, okay, and it's basically stored, okay. So this is one of the example, okay, the endpoint that we tested, and and if we have to go and check like how this flow is working over here. So when you are trying to do an analysis, it's going checking in our ChromaDB, okay, if the data is already stored or not. If there is already stored, if there is a hit in the cache hit, it returns the analysis response, and if there is a miss, it basically go and calls the GitHub endpoint, okay, it fetch the result, and it build the context and send the context to the Nemotron model, okay, and the whatever the analysis is gathered, okay, it's stored into the ChromaDB. So pretty much this is our architecture and the working of the flow, okay, and we also have added this front end over here, so the front end package can be found over here. So we are using plain HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript, okay, and this can directly like we can directly like once the backend is up, okay, we can go ahead and like run our index.html, and we'll be landing into that same page that we saw over here, and it also gives us the status of our whether the front end is connected to the backend or not. So this is pretty much of this project. Coming to like the future scope of this project, we have not using GitHub webhook over here as of now, okay. Something like further we can do in the future release, where we can also give the support of multi-repository support. And since I'm testing into the local, okay, so I have actually haven't thought much of like going into distributed system. So whenever the moment we'll be having the multi-repository, To handle the traffic, we could introduce like some event processing, like some in queue messaging queue kind of things, RabbitMQ perhaps, and we can also make towards like the agentic workflow. So this is pretty much, and thanks for watching. And this Copilot, all I can say, it's not going to replace a maintainer, but rather help open repository maintainer to do the job more easy, okay, with the help of AI. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.